What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down some big data coming out for tomorrow that could cause some volatility. And what President Trump just said about his tariffs that could also cause a very, very big move. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. Moomoo is an amazing global brokerage that consists of many exclusive offers. If you sign up and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. Deposit $5,000 and you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. You'll also qualify for an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash, and the offer ends in just 3 days from now at the end of July. Another benefit of signing up is that you guys are going to gain access to free data to look at order flow. So if you look at order flow right now, you can see there's a higher amount of net inflow coming into the markets, which still tells us we're looking a bit more bullish. So if you want access to all these benefits, if you want to see what's going on with the markets, check out my links down below or sign up with this QR code. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the stock market. So one thing worth mentioning is when you look at SPY and zoom out, we're still looking bullish because there were times SPY got dips, right? If you go back to what happened about 2 weeks ago, SPY went from 627 all the way down here to this buy zone around 618, right? We actually came back towards our 50 EMA. And then we bounced back up to 631. Okay, then we dipped all the way down towards our green line right here. This is our 20 EMA. This was at 625. We just got bought back up. Now we're dipping again. And as of right now, the trend suggests that even if we dip a bit more and retest 635, we could just get bought back up and see another leg higher. That's what the trend suggests so far on SPY and the QQQ. In fact, the QQQ closed very, very strongly. Tech is still holding up very well in anticipation of big tech earnings. So for now, the charts look more bullish. Now, if SPY does the opposite and starts losing like 632, this resistance becoming support, and we start losing like the 630 range. Yes, I could be looking for a bigger decline, but as of right now, there's no sign of us losing any major support, and the odds favor us trying to bounce all over again, in my personal opinion. So I think SPY is still holding up very well. So what's happening with the news? What's happening with the markets? We do have some big data coming out for tomorrow. First and foremost, tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday, July 29th, 2025, okay? In the morning, we have some housing data, which is going to be very, very minor, nothing too serious right over here. But then at 10 a.m., we basically have the JOLTS job openings and job quits reports alongside consumer confidence. This may cause quite a bit of volatility, so expect some volatility at 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a little bit over an hour after the market opens as well. At 10:30, we also have the Dallas Fed services numbers. This could also cause some volatility. So big data at 10 and 10:30 a.m. may cause some volatility intraday. So be ready, guys, and be prepared for some volatility tomorrow. Now, on top of this, I just want to say that in the morning, we have SoFi and PayPal and Boeing all announcing earnings. And then on Wednesday, we have Meta and Microsoft. And on Thursday, we have Apple and Amazon. So big tech earnings are about to kick off, and this typically causes a lot of volatility for markets. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what this leads to, and things are about to get very, very serious. So what's going on with the markets right now? There's another big catalyst coming out. It involves President Trump. President Trump has said that he wants the baseline tariff of the world to be in the 15 to 20% range, probably one of those two numbers, according to him. His comments come days before his August 1st deadline on the large majority of countries, with the exception being China. He also said that we're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world, and that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business with the USA, because you can't sit down and make 200 deals, according to President Trump. That's his quote. President Trump also said that with the agreements being made so far, he's saying that the U.S. was getting taken advantage of for a very long time, and this is what's going to be very necessary if countries want to do business with the U.S. Then he started to make very, very important comments about his tariffs. I think it's very important to pay attention to what he says, because you guys remember what happened in April. The market took a big hit, then it made a full recovery. My point is President Trump could cause a lot of volatility in the markets. That's why I think it's very important to pay attention to him. So he was saying that he is very unhappy with Putin. He's very unhappy with Russia, and that he wants to basically limits the deadline on Russia. He wants to basically end the deadline on the tariffs earlier than before to incentivize Russia to make a deal. He wants to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, so that's what he's trying to do. He also mentioned that with China, he's not happy with the way they're negotiating, but he did give them more time. So he has made it very clear that by August 12th, that's the time China has to make a deal. They're seeing a small extension in their deadline, and he thinks a deal with China is going to be very important. Despite that, he said that they have a truce and they're making great progress and that they have a good relationship. So that's what President Trump has been saying so far. Also, negotiations are continuing, and there could be a potential meeting between, the leaders of the U.S. and China, Trump and Xi Jinping. If they meet up and negotiate, we'll see if some kind of deal comes. But President Trump is saying that this is going to be very necessary. President Trump also mentioned that he cannot negotiate 200 deals just like that. That's why he wants to impose a 15 to 20% baseline tariff on every country. With some exceptions, we have some other countries making deals like the UK, Indonesia, they have different tariff rates. And then China could also be another exception alongside India. He mentioned that we're making good progress with India, and he thinks there's going to be a great deal coming. Right now, we're seeing headlines suggesting that there's a lot of negotiations going on so far, and that with the negotiations, we're going to be looking to see what ends up happening. India is kind of like scrambling to make a deal as soon as possible. We're going to see how that ends up going for them. Their deadline is also coming up, so that's what they're essentially working on. So, very important, guys. The deadline for the tariffs is going to be on August 1st, which means that starting August 1st, we have high tariffs to be imposed on different countries. Brazil is also trying to scramble for a deal with, as they have like a 50% tariff that could be imposed. But if they make a deal, things could change. And that's why President Trump is saying it's very important. His tariffs, they're going to bring in hundreds of billions in revenue every single year. But at the same time, there's going to be negative effects on the economy. It's going to be like good and bad that comes from them, in my honest, unbiased opinion. I went over a lot of this in my videos over the weekend based off like studies from Yale and such. I'm not going to go over everything in today's video. But keep in mind, we're going to see what ends up happening, though, because there's also a lot of uncertainty. We're going to see what kind of deals come out, what tariffs are going to be imposed, and how long they're imposed, because things could still be subjected to change. That's what President Trump is saying. President Trump understands the US's leverage, and he's trying to use that to negotiate these deals. He knows that most people don't want super high tariffs. He knows that we don't want 100% tariffs on China and all these different places, but he's going to use that to negotiate, and he's going to use that as kind of like a scare tactic to get these countries to do what he wants them to do. That's his tactic, essentially. For example, if you look at like other countries like India, if you look at like China, he was threatening very, very high tariffs. And now with negotiations coming through, we've seen the tariffs decreased to a larger extent, even on the European Union. So we're going to see what happens and how these negotiations end up going. But for now, despite some of the fears that are emerging, the market still looks more bullish. We're still bullish, right? We dipped here, got bought back up. We dipped here, got bought back up. We're dipping here, and we could get bought back up as long as we don't lose any major support. Now, tomorrow we have the JOLTS job openings and job quits numbers. We'll see if this helps the market bounce, but we are seeing some positive inflow in the after hours and also during the end of the day for the markets. If you want to be a bear, we need to see SPY basically fail at 634. If that fails, we're looking for a bigger move down. If you're a bull, you want to see us basically hold support and consolidate and eventually try to bounce, get back above 638. If we reclaim this, I think we're going to be looking for new all-time highs. Now, I'm open to anything because keep in mind, guys, there's going to likely be some kind of pullback in that August to September period. I've been saying this for a while. I do believe that, but there's no confirmation we're ready yet for a rejection because we're still technically making a higher low here compared to the lows here and here and here. So even if we do dip a bit and we consolidate tomorrow, I think there might be some consolidation. The odds still favor us trying to get back to all-time highs and break them as we're still looking bullish. And there's no confirmation of the market rejecting and turning bearish yet, right? SPY is only down like 3 points from the all-time high. It could still bounce pretty easily. Believe me when I say that. Also, when you look at the 30 minutes time frame, there is a slight bullish divergence, and we kind of have like a higher low that's being established, which could help us bounce even more. This could also resemble an inverse head and shoulders like this, right? That could also help us try to bounce heading into tomorrow. So as long as SPY does not lose like 634 or so, I think we favor consolidation and maybe a bounce tomorrow if we get some good numbers. Of course, it depends on the data. We can't make promises, but that's what I'm favoring at least for now. Now, on the QQQ, I'm seeing something very similar going on. We're holding up very well on the triple Q. We're literally down less than 2 points from the all-time high. So the tech stocks are showing a lot of strength right now, and this could also help maybe the S&P 500 play a game of catch-up. So if you're a bear on the triple Q, your argument is going to be this. You want to see us basically fail here. You want to see us fail at 565. If that fails us, there is the possibility of us dipping to 561. If you're a bull, you want to see us hold above 570. If that breaks, we're looking for new all-time highs for 572 plus. Now, what do I see in the chart? Well, here's the thing, guys. Okay, we're super bullish, right? We dipped, bounced to new highs, dipped, bounced to new highs, dipped, bounced to new highs, right? We're dipping here, and now we're getting bought back up, so we favor a little consolidation, then an attempt to break all-time highs for 570 and 572. We still look more bullish based off this trend. There's no confirmation of downside yet. Could we turn bearish in the future? Yes, in August/September, we could turn more bearish, but we're not ready yet. We still look like we're getting bought back up. We're still looking bullish on the triple Q. We still look bullish. On the IWM, we're looking more bullish. Now, if we lose 222, we could be looking for a dip to 221. But as long as we're above 225, we're looking for an attempt to once again break towards the highs at 227. My guts tells me that this is an accumulation. So basically, this whole move is like an accumulation right over here. This kind of resembles an inverse head and shoulders. You have a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and now we're just slowly consolidating. So look for some consolidation like this before we start pushing for 227 plus. I think the odds will favor upside. On ES, we're looking bullish. Why do I say that? Well, for now, look at the yellow line and look at the green line. We're bouncing, 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 bouncing every time we hit our key EMAs. So if you want to be a bear, you want to see us basically fail at the 50 EMA right here at 63.80. We could be dumping lower. But as long as we hold 64.13, we're going to be favoring an attempt to bounce and basically an attempt to get to all-time highs again. As long as we could hold 64.13, we're favoring an attempt for 64.60, then eventually new all-time highs. I think ES might bounce here as long as we hold support. It depends on the JOLTS numbers, of course. I don't want to see us lose 64.13. If we hold this, we're looking for a big push higher, in my personal opinion. For NQ, we're looking more bullish. As long as we don't lose 23,439, we're going to be favoring a bounce and attempt to get back up to 23,600. As of right now, I favor upside. I think we're doing a fantastic job at holding up. Bitcoin is holding up well. So long as we don't lose 117,500, we're going to be favoring an attempt for 120,000. So please keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. So that's looking pretty good in my personal opinion. I think we could be bouncing. For Tesla, unfortunately, we're not looking that great. So we're trying to bounce a bit with the news about the semiconductors being supplied by Samsung. There's a big deal that was signed, but the issue is that we're getting tighter, 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 and tighter. And now we're hitting this resistance right here around 330. We need to break that to continue to break out. If we can't hold above 330, though, the odds do favor us retesting like 315, just kind of consolidating. So be careful at Tesla. We're in a consolidation. We're at this resistance. This white trend line right here is going to be resistance. I need to see Tesla break that to turn bullish. As of right now, we're rejecting near it. So it looks like it might consolidate, maybe come back down to 319 if that doesn't break. But if we break 330, we could be breaking out. It all depends on the news. For now, we're in a consolidation phase, so we do favor coming back down to like 319 and then consolidating for now. For Nvidia, we're breaking all-time highs. We need to see Nvidia lose 173 to turn more bearish to start dipping to 169. As of right now, we're favoring 178 to 180 is our targets. As you guys could quite clearly tell, we're making higher highs and higher lows. We're also breaking this resistance right here, so you could actually draw out this resistance becoming support around 174. We held it very well, and I think we're looking very solid, very, very bullish, very, very strong. Appl is now consolidating. Wait, let me actually close this real quick. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Appl is looking really, really decent. It's just consolidating, but it depends on earnings. Earnings comes out in just a couple of days. If we break 215, we're looking for an attempt for 216.5. And if we end up losing 212, we're looking for a big move down. My gut tells me is that we just consolidate heading into earnings. We'll see if this breaks up or down. It depends on maybe FOMC and earnings, but that's going to be key for the way we end up moving. Netflix it's looking a little bit weak here. I would like to see it reclaim 1188 to turn more bullish. If we can't do that, the odds are basically favoring 1162 for a move right back down. For MSTR, we're also rejecting or making lower highs. We're going to see if we get back above basically 414. If not, we're looking for essentially 397, and we'll see if buyers defend or not. For Celsius, we're basically at this resistance around 47.5. If we don't hold above that, we're looking for 46.05, and we'll see if buyers defend. Might see a small dip, and we'll have to see how it goes. Supermicro is looking more bullish. We're favoring basically 62 as our target. I think we're doing a great job so far, so keep that in mind. So far, we're looking quite strong. For Palantir, we're making higher lows right now. We're holding up very, very well. I think the odds are favoring basically 161 or above. If we lose 155, we're going to be turning back down, but I think we're favoring 161 as a potential target. For Rivian, we're also range bound right here. We have 14.4 as our resistance. Then we have support down here around 13.5. I think we could be dipping to 13.6, and we'll see if buyers defend. Otherwise, I think we're holding up quite well. SoFi, it doesn't look that great, but it depends on earnings. So it has a head and shoulders, I'm noticing, but nothing is guaranteed until you get earnings. Sometimes these are traps for retail. Left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. If we don't hold 20, we're looking for a dump. But if we break past 22, we could be looking for this to break out higher. There is a head and shoulders, which makes me a little bit concerned. But honestly, it depends on earnings, and nothing can be promised, in my opinion. AMD is following Nvidia, breaking these highs. It's not at all-time highs, but it's breaking out very nicely. We need to lose 170 to turn back down. As long as we're above 170, we're favoring 178 or above, and eventually move closer to 180. I think we look very, very bullish on AMD. ARM is looking more bullish. We need to see this essentially lose 161 to turn back down to 157. We're still favoring 168. For PayPal, we're looking more bullish. We're favoring 80 as our targets. As long as 77.38 does not fail us, we're looking quite good. Coinbase is on a downtrend. It's not looking that great right now. This also has a head and shoulders like pattern, left shoulder, head and right shoulder. I need to see this get back above at least 390 to bounce. If not, I could see this dip closer to like 375 to 370. Please keep that in mind. Amazon's making higher highs and higher lows. Now, if we end up losing essentially 230, we're looking for a bigger dump, but I think the odds favor consolidation, then a move back down towards 230, and we'll see if we bounce or not. So please be very, very careful, especially as time goes on. For Meta, I think that we're making higher lows right here. If we end up losing 713, we're looking for a dump back down to 707. As long as we hold support, though, we're going to be favoring basically 722 or above. Once again, we have an inverse head and shoulders, and we're favoring consolidation to push for the 720s. Google is looking not that great. We look like we're just kind of consolidating here. I would like to see it lose 192.5 to dump lower to 188.5. As long as the support holds, we're going to be favoring 195 plus, so keep that in mind. Microsoft is also looking a bit more bullish. We're trying to make higher lows right now. If we lose 511, we're looking for a dump. But as long as this holds, we're favoring 516. So far, I think we're looking quite good. The VIX is on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs here, so it could be dipping towards the 14s. If we get a rejection, it's still looking a bit more bearish to me. And the 10-year and the dollar are going to be very dependent on FOMC, so we're going to see how that goes. And finally, the 10-year treasury yield may also be, sorry, not the 10-year, the crude chart is going to be affected by what we see when it comes to politics and such. We're just kind of ranging between this like 68 and 65 area. It's not really doing a whole lot. So that's not really affecting the market way too much. With that being said, what is my view? Honestly, guys, the market could consolidate here, but I still think that we're going to likely try to go to all-time highs and break out. I don't see any sign that we're completely done yet because we're still above our EMAs and the trend is still bullish, right? Even as we came down a bit, we're getting bought back up in the after hours. I think SPY is holding up well, and the QQQ still looks very solid. There's no sign of this rejecting hard. We're only 1 point away from all-time highs on the triple Q, so it's still holding up. So the majority of stocks are still holding up well. We're still looking bullish, and we're going to see what happens with President Trump's trade deals. But for now, watch the data coming out for tomorrow. We have some JOLTS job openings and job quits, and some Fed services data all coming out at 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. So look for volatility then. We'll see what happens with the jobs numbers. So I do expect some volatility, but in my opinion, the charts as of right now, we look more bullish. Every time we're dipping, we're getting bought back up, and I'm favoring upside for now. Of course, there could be a correction that comes later on in the August to September period, but I don't think that we're ready for it yet. I don't see a sign of it yet. I don't see confirmation of that yet. For now, we look more bullish. I'm not seeing a sign of a pivot yet. We could be looking for all-time highs all over again. So keep that in mind, guys. I want to thank you all so much for listening. So please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your guys' days, nights, and evenings, wherever you guys are around the world. I wish you all nothing but the best, and I thank you all so much for watching these videos. I'll be back very soon with another update tomorrow before the market opens, as usual. Until then, stay strong, guys, and be very, very careful in a market like this. And by the way, when there is a lot of chop, you want to be very, very careful. You want to be very, very cautious of that, because When the market becomes very choppy, it's just going to burn premiums and it's going to be very hard for options holders. So be careful when the market is choppy and just know that there is a lot of potential, at least looking at the current charts, for upside. But if we do see some chop to start things off, that's typically followed by upside, and we'll be giving the market some time. So be very patient in the market like this. Do what you have to do. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Thank you for listening and peace out.